afternoon. I'm Betty Glaspie, and I am so excited and honored to have Kayla and Father Julian Border, who most of you know.
Hello.
But they have consented to let me interview them. So I was, as Kayla said, I caught her at one moment that she said she could do this. Anyway, this is for our 150th anniversary, and we're just going to celebrate it this coming weekend on the 17th and 18th of May, and continue the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. So just a couple of questions I wanted to ask you, and Kayla, you could start. Mm-hmm. When did you join the church?
So I grew up Baptist. I grew up in Kentucky, going to the Baptist church there. Mm-hmm. And when I got into college, I went to a Christian university called Asbury University. Yes. And as I was taking a theology class there, I started learning about things like the creeds, both the Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed and things like that the Baptist church doesn't really use. And I found that I was really interested in those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, I started attending Anglican and Episcopal services, and then was actually confirmed in the Episcopal Church about getting close to 2 years ago now.
At St. Thomas.
At St. Thomas.
Yeah, right before we got married, the bishop said, Kayla is kosher now. Yeah.
So yeah, that's great to hear, and we're so glad I remember when you were confirmed. Mm-hmm. And Julian, tell me about your journey.
I'm Cradle Episcopal.
Yes.
So I was baptized at Church of the Incarnation up in Dallas, and all throughout my childhood, my parents were very good about taking us to church every week. We were always the most formally dressed children there, even in, when we lived out in the beach in California, we were still out in our suits and ties when we were little. And I grew up loving the Episcopal Church, and just more and more as I got older, diving in. And so it's been a real joy to go from baptism to confirmation back in Texas, and then ordination. And so, I have been an Episcopalian my whole life, and it has been a huge blessing to me all throughout. Love this place.
And we are so blessed that he is our priest here. And you've been here 4 years now? Almost three. Almost three. How did I? Oh, well.
Yeah,
it's
been fun. So, Bishop told me one day, St. Thomas and Ennis. And my only experience of Ennis at the time had been we would stop at the Brahms on the way from Dallas to Houston. But came here and fell in love with the place and fell in love with the people and decided, okay.
Well, and the people have fallen in love with you too.
Indeed.
You sort of said the reasons that you became an Episcopalian. Of course, I know Julian did. But tell me then, what would be your most special event in the church or service? Kayla?
I think for me, I honestly really like the Wednesday evening prayer services that we do, which is kind of a weekly service that we hold. And I like that it's just a time in the middle of the week to decompress a bit, refocus. That's something that I grew up doing. I always went to Wednesday night services growing up, and it's nice to kind of have that again.
Yes.
Because I didn't have that, during COVID and all that. So it's nice to do that.
We all miss that, and that's one of my favorites also. And Julian, do you have one? All wonderful.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, they're all my babies, right? No, but I would have to say Holy Week. As a priest, there's just nothing quite like it in terms of the whole story that's going on in Holy Week and getting to be a part of it, being tired the week after, but still just really cherishing all. And the way we do it at St. Thomas is very special.
It is special.
Yeah,
it is special.
It's been a lot of fun.
Tell me what changes you all have seen since you've moved here.
Yeah,
well, I think for me, probably several things that other people have said, but I've seen just this big increase in energy. You know,
Yes.
the energy feels very different now, even than when I came, which wasn't all that long ago. But everyone is just very excited about what God is doing in Ennis and at St. Thomas. And that's just a really, really cool thing to see. But I think in some ways, what stands out to me the most is actually something that has not changed, which is the fact that everything just, it really feels like the definition of a church family to me.
Yes.
Like, it feels like this is an extension of my family, which is really, really important because, you know, all of my family's back in Kentucky.
Yes.
So it's really
This is-
special to have
yes.
that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's special to hear
Yeah.
to me, because through these interviews, I've heard that it is family. And even as we grow, we've stayed as a family.
Yes.
And I'm glad you consider us family.
Yeah, and certainly for me, that has stuck out. Yeah, that we have managed to keep that as we've added more people, and the people, you know, my effort is always tell them, I'm happy you're here and we want you to be part of our family. And I hope everyone who comes in feels that way. For me, the biggest change, you know, I could talk about a lot of things, you know, but
Certainly.
I'm a priest, right? I'm going to focus on the spiritual change. And I think what I've seen the most is hope, you know, that there's been kind of a great feeling of hope in the past few years, and a sense of, okay, let's think ahead, you know, not just how are we going to get through this next
week.
this week or this, you know, next few months. It's like, okay, what is St. Thomas going to look like in 5 years? What's going to look like in 10 years? You know, we won't be here to see it, but what will it look like in 150 years?
Not 150.
So,
True. You have, and I think you've been a good leader in directing us to look forward more than what we have in the past. And with growth and excitement, it's just, St. Thomas is, we feel like we're just doing really well and very, very blessed.
Yes.
I thank you both so much for coming this afternoon and visiting. And we, as I said, I'm very happy that you came. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
God bless you.
Okay, let's see if we have to redo it. This may be the first one I want to redo.
Oh, no.